Hello, I'm Georgina Lewis from the Augusta-Richmond County Public Library, your favorite librarian in training. And I'm here again with another exciting monthly book talk. We're really excited about this monthly book talk because we all know that I love young adult. And we have Miss Natalie Wilson. Ms. Natalie Wilson is our author for today. She is the author of the Children of Angel series. And today she's here to spill the tea on the Children of Angel series. Yay! Thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yay, I'm excited too. So I like to jump right in when I do these book talks. Tell me about the Children of Angel series.
All right. I'm excited to get to share something that's near and dear to my heart. The Children of Angel series is a fantasy, I think it's classified as a Christian fantasy series on Amazon, but it takes you through the journey of the Nephilim, the half human, half angel children it was originally about the fallen angels, but in my series, I imagine what would it be like to have children of God's angels and children of the fallen angels, so that there's that battle of good and evil and kind of the protection of mankind and the souls on earth, and also mankind's free will. So it is a journey through choices and a journey through kind of some biblical ties, but also flight of fancy too. So kind of mixes a little of everything in.
Awesome, amazing. So I was looking at your series and I noticed Alexandria, and I always ask authors, do you put a little of yourself in your book? So for me, I want to know, did you put a little bit of yourself in any of the characters? It doesn't even have to just be Alexandria.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes it surprises me how much they end up sounding like me. But yes, there are so many characters in the stories. In fact, like I said before, we've got, like in some of the bigger battle scenes, there can be over 1,000 characters. But the core group around Alexandria is close to 20. There's a core group of 20, her immediate family, and then some of the other Nephilim that she works with and that she comes to know through the progression of the stories. And they each have such distinct personalities, but a lot of them have quirky senses of humor, and they have little bits of almost sass to them. And so, even though Alexandria can be very shy and very introverted at times, when that fire needs to come out and when she really needs to be bold and brave, it comes out. And I find sometimes that she's probably saying things I would say in those situations, or I get inspired by her and I want to be more bold like she is. So yeah, but I can hear my voice sometimes in the characters. Yeah.
That's so amazing. So where did you get the inspiration for like this series? You've written several books and more to come. So where did this first start for you?
Believe it or not, it started when I was a little girl in church. I was a kiddo. We grew up in a Methodist church, little country church, and I remember distinctly the weekend that my pastor was talking about the Nephilim. He was reading the passages in Genesis, and it was talking about the heroes of old. And at that time, we just so happened to be studying Greek mythology in school. So I was learning about Hercules and all, Zeus, and just, I thought, wow, maybe those heroes are real. Who knows? So the idea has always kind of been there in the back of my mind, just percolating of, what if? Of course, biblically, we were taught, those children of the fallen angels, they were not here for good. But in my stories, I just thought, well, maybe what if there was a great force of good and a great force of evil, and the two were combating one another, but that good was constantly pushing against the evil to try to give mankind that extra hand or tipping point to give them the chance to be who they're, to be self-fulfilled and be the best they can be. But it wasn't until I was, years later, many years later, that I heard a piece of music. It was an instrumental piece of music from the Disney movie Tarzan. And I don't even know how to explain it, but I heard that piece of music, and through hearing that music, I clearly saw the scene, one of the pivotal scenes for book one. And I thought, wow, so that's what that story I've always thought about would look like. And that's what that moment would look like. And it is a very critical moment in book one. So I was thinking about it, started talking about it, and one of my best friends, and then also my husband, who is my true best friend, the two of them together said, why don't you try? You won't know if you can write it until you try. And so I did. I started writing a few paragraphs, started writing a few chapters, and about a month later, I had the first novel completely written because it was just pouring out of me. So that's when I really thought, okay, there's something here. There might be a story, and I'm going to keep it going because Alexandria had quite a story to tell.
Oh, wow. So from church and swinging from Tarzan, we now have a series. Oh, that is amazing. So you were saying like you got the first book done in a month, right? And that
Yeah. It wasn't edited. I didn't have it edited yet or anything. It was like I'd come home from work, and all I could do from then until bedtime was write. I couldn't, it was coming, and I don't know where it was coming from, but it was coming. And when I got through with book one, I literally couldn't stop. I just kept writing. And about a month and a half later, book two was done. And I wrote all summer long, and book three was done. And finally, there was a moment where my husband was like, you need to stop and eat. You need to stop and sleep. And then we kind of took a pause where we stopped so that I could just get the books edited, and we could come up with a cover and try to breathe again. But then that fire was still there. So book four started coming after Christmas that year. Yeah.
Well, we are so grateful for your husband for making sure that you take care of yourself while you produce these great works for us, for sure. So you were talking and you were saying you were writing as you came back home from work. Can you tell us a little bit about your writing process?
Sure, yeah. My day job is an elementary school librarian. So, and I've been there for 25 years, and it's truly a passion. Of course, the love of reading, the love of books has always been near and dear to my heart. And that's part of Alexandria too, is there are a lot of references to libraries in the books and to the power of written word and how it can inspire and educate, but also just kind of help you light that fire of creativity in you, because a lot in her story is equated to a library. And the fact that she's named Alexandria, they even make a point that they tie it to the great library of Alexandria, and that her soul is filled with all that knowledge and all those volumes that came from so long ago and is still developing. And so for me, when I come home from work, no matter how tired I am, that love of that written word is still going. So it's like, for me, I normally know the last scene of a book before I start writing it. So I don't really outline. I know a lot of people do that. I don't write down where exactly every single chapter is going to go. I just always start with that. This is the last scene of the book. And so now that the series is progressing, I kind of pick up where I've left off, like, okay, this is where Alexandria was at the end of whichever novel. So here she's at this point in the journey. But, even when I started writing book one, I knew what the end of book 10 would be. So I knew the last scene for book 10 at the beginning of book one, and 10 is where her journey will end. So I just, at first, when I first started again, I was a newbie. I was nervous. I was trying to find every character's voice as they came into the story. But now I do have that core group around her that support her. So I know their voices, and I don't outline so that when I start, it just depends on which character walks in the room and who's going to help with that particular thing. And the characters guide the story now. They're the ones talking, and they're telling it until we get to that last scene. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. Okay, you have been a joy. So before we let you go, for someone out there who is, they're searching and they have a story in them and they want to put it to paper, they want to become an author, what advice or tips would you be willing to give to someone who wants to write their own novel?
I would tell them exactly what my friend and my husband said. You won't know until you try, because I never thought that I would write anything really. I mean, I was more of a reader. I was a lover of the written word, and I never really thought, oh, I'm destined to write something. It was more of, this is in my heart, and this is, in that creative little brain, and it was like, let's just try. Let's just see. So a few years ago, we had a writer's workshop through the library there in Augusta, and the people at my table working with me were interested in fantasy and fiction. Some wanted to work with young adult novels. They had some great ideas, but most of them had not yet started. And so that's what I kept telling them, you write that first sentence. The first sentence then becomes the first paragraph. And then that first paragraph can become the first chapter. And once that first chapter is over, once you've hit that period and you type chapter 2, you know where you left off. So what happens next? And I just tell people, it's a journey. You do have to kind of have some sleepless nights, and you have to skip dinner sometimes just because it'll come on you, and you can't stop typing. You're going as fast as you can. Your fingers can follow the characters and how fast they're talking. But I've met a few authors who've told me, one gentleman specifically said it took him almost a decade to write his one, but that's his one. And that was just the highlight of his life. And so there's no certain page number for a novel. There's no limit to how long or short a series can be. It's what your characters kind of tell you they need for you to write, and that's what you're going to write, but you won't know until you try.
Well, thank you. That is some awesome advice. I hope that it helps someone out there. So for you, our patron, if you enjoy YA as much as I do, and you want to read books very much like the Children of Angel series written by Miss Natalie Wilson here, make sure that you come and check out the Augusta-Richmond County Public Library. We are open by curbside currently, so that means that you can take your library card and go to our catalogs and place your book on hold, and we will bring your books right out to your car. Also, make sure that you take advantage of Libby. Libby is where you can get your ebooks and audiobooks. So make sure you take advantage of all of our great services that we have here. We look forward to you taking advantage of those. Thank you, Ms. Wilson, so much for being here with us and opening up and telling us about your wonderful series. And until next time,